Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, depending on where you are in the world or what time zone you're in. I am Shanta Javon Taylor, neuroscientist and success strategist, founder of the Optimind Institute. And we are on day number 3 of the Neuroscience Coach Summit. Welcome, welcome, everyone. So, some of you received the notification that yesterday's live replay is available along with some extra trainings. And those extra trainings include my very dynamic conversation with Dr. Caroline Leaf as she talked about mind management. Another training was an introduction to the neuroscience of unconscious bias, which is very important, especially in these days and times. It's important to understand the mechanisms behind unconscious bias in the brain and to know that that is where the long-term changes need to occur is in the brain to overcome those biases that can adversely affect other people in a negative way. So that training, that extra training is in there from day 2. And there was one more training I put in there. What was it? Well, you'll see once you get there. All right, so we are on day 3 of the Neuroscience Coach Summit. This summit is for people who are coaches in various niches and are fascinated or very curious about this beautiful brain of ours and how to actually understand it and navigate it and infuse it in such a way that resonates with you and amplifies your expertise and competence and how you are able to create powerful transformations in those that you influence. And you don't have to be a coach that has their own business. You don't have to be an entrepreneurial coaching business. If you are in organizations, you most likely have people that you are a role model to or need to mentor, or maybe you're an internal coach for an organization. Amplifying your work, your strategies with neuroscience will take your level of communication and insights and transformation for those you are coaching to a whole different level and scale, because your mind will be accessing more neural pathways that it didn't normally activate, just because you are learning more about how to consciously and unconsciously activate different parts of your brain or deactivate deep parts of your brain so that you can think on another level of coaching and asking questions and picking up on the nuances that will allow you to help your client to navigate their own brain. Okay, it's very important. Being a brain-based coach, being a neuroscience trained coach, it's very important for you to train your clients on how their brain works, because most of the time, 99.99% of the time, folks, they are away from you, right? You don't have that interaction with them probably every day, or you probably have one session a month. That's a blip in time. So the more they understand and feel empowered about how their brain works, the more they're actually going to put these strategies into practice and remember actually to put them into practice, because they understand the deeper why. Okay, so it is our responsibility as coaches, as trainers, as leaders, to always be going to the next level of our understanding of this human behavior. And the brain is the last frontier of understanding this human experience. Okay, and so I've been studying the brain for 20 years. I started off, some of you know, in the clinical world, and the last 10 years been really focusing in on the personal and professional development world. Okay, so today's live is all about, oh, I know it. It came to me. Thanks, Brain. The replay for day 2. I included some extra trainings. One of you requested the neuroscience of decision making. So I went ahead and put that extra training in there as well. Okay. You're welcome. Remember, this is not a regular summit. This is not a summit with 50,000 experts giving 20, 50-minute interviews that you have no time to watch. Okay. This is a combination of live and pre-recorded training on this knowledge so that you can take your understanding to the next level and decide how far do you want to go with this knowledge. Okay. Do you want to be methodical and systematic on how you learn this knowledge of neuroscience and incorporate it into your work so that you can amplify it, that so that you can augment your experience of this human experience, but also augment and amplify your expertise. Now, I will only be able to see your comment, the names, if you gave StreamYard permission for me to see your name, but you can still comment no matter where you are. I know I'm streaming in a few different places. I love that about StreamYard, people. Just a little plug there. I'm not an affiliate, but if you want to streamline and optimize your brain energy, okay, get on StreamYard and you'll be able to go live in multiple different places. Okay. So today, what I want to focus on the live training is 5 shifts you need to make in your mind in order to leverage neuroscience in a powerful way. Okay. 5 shifts you need to make in order to be able to powerfully use this knowledge in a way that's going to really augment your pre-existing strengths, interest, passion, expertise, and all of that. Remember, neuroscience is not here to replace your knowledge. It's meant to amplify your knowledge. It's meant to amplify your strategies. It's meant to allow you to go deeper in the mindset of your client and help them, empower them to navigate their complex issues, even when you're not present. Okay. And the way that you do that is you don't just tell them or just ask them about their problems and give them the solution. The power of coaching, brain-based coaching, is that you are able to have insights and be in that intuitive space where you're able to ask the questions that's going to get to what has been keeping them from the next level or navigating that challenge that they've been having for weeks or months or years. Okay. And by asking those insightful questions, you're able to help them to see what is happening in the brain, in their brain. And what you want to be able to do in your coaching experience with these clients is help them to have the aha moment and the insight, because that's the most powerful way of learning something. We know that in neuroscience, the most powerful waves that are measured are through moments of insight. Okay, that's the next level. Really, that's the next level of how we are supposed to learn, people. Okay, but we'll talk about that in the program or somewhere else. Anyways, so when you have your clients have their own insightful moments, that means they're more likely not just to learn and navigate this conversation, the conversation and the realization, they're more likely to actually do the next thing. Okay, so the probability of them finally changing or using that strategy in a consistent way, right? Because that's a problem of a lot of clients. They don't believe these strategies work for them because maybe they have tried it and it's failed, and you're just another coach telling them to get more sleep, telling them to write down SMART goals. Okay. Boring, right? If you understand the neuroscience behind the strategies and you go deeper because you've learned deeper, the deeper why, what's actually happening in the brain, then you can share that with the client. Now, the way that I train and my colleagues train coaches is that we train our coaches 20 layers deeper about the brain that they would actually train their or educate their clients about their brain. So you'll learn it 20 layers deeper, but your clients, you may only give them a couple of layers, a couple of ideas, right? Um, and you need to understand the nature of your client too. Some of your clients are going to geek out over learning about their brain, and it'll be okay to take them deeper. Some might get overwhelmed, but we got something for that too, right? Because the way you coach or train a bunch of CEOs is different than how you would coach a bunch of teachers of high schoolers, right? So we give you the different languages, or words, alternative words, like a glossary about how to describe the brain and what is happening in the brain, and analogies, so that when you are in this coaching space with your clients, they can they can absorb it instead of being overwhelmed. Because once the overwhelm kicks in, okay, it's brain shut down, it's prefrontal cortex shut down. There's no learning happening. Okay, and so we have to make sure that they're in the space to be able to receive what you are saying. Okay, so we make sure that you have that language according to your expertise. Anna says, I'm right here, so grateful to be led by you. How do I access the pre-recorded information? Great question, Anna. Since you in order to watch this live, you have to register, right? So now I have your email, and so we're going to add you to the database, and you'll get the emails for and links for the day 1 and day 2, okay, and day 3 today. Good, great question. All right, so I didn't test this out, people, but I'm going to try something. I want to see if I could share my screen. Let's see. I don't think I can. Oh, wait. Cancel. There, I'm back. I'm back. Okay, present. I saw a present button. Slides. Screen share. Okay, let's do screen share. Let's see if it works. We're learning together, people. I don't mind learning on the spot. I don't mind. I don't do well multitasking, people. I don't mind. One moment. Nobody's good at multitasking, by the way. I don't mind technology going down on me. I expect technology to go down. Okay. And so that keeps my amygdala from activating and then stealing blood flow away from my prefrontal cortex. And then I can't think, and I'm, all discombobulated. So if you shift your expectations, people, okay, on things, you have more control over how your brain works. So you are in control of how you distribute your brain flow of blood and nutrients. All right. Please choose a smaller file. Okay, I'm just gonna go. I'll put the slides that actually go with what I'm saying today in the live replay for today. But I want to go through the 5 shifts that you need to understand in order to really optimize how you use this information. Okay, so the first mindset shift you need to have is to understand that navigating the brain is the key to navigating this continuous, complex human experience. Okay, we're not getting this life is not going to get any easier. Okay? It's not going to get simpler. It's going to get more complex, which is how we always have evolved, right? We went from simple tools to more advanced tools, right? And things are advancing quickly. I mean, if you think about the phone, right? The rotary phone, it was used for one thing, right? We were finally able to communicate across the world with the phone, right? And then we had the handheld phone. Now we aren't obligated to stay in one place. We can move about the the neighborhood, the country with a cell phone, right? But still, those earlier cell phones in the 90s only had that maybe two functions. Now we're mobile, right? And now we have the smartphone, correct? And the smartphone allows us to do, it's like our second brain. It's like an extension of ourselves, right? It's like what's going to mean the difference between you putting yourself out there and putting out your message and influencing people, right? So we can decide on how we use the how much we use the smartphone, right, in order to augment our life. Okay, I compared it to an extra brain. Just imagine you have an extra prefrontal cortex that allows you to do all kinds of executive functions. You have extra memory. I have a terabyte of memory just in my phone. And so just think of all that stuff I don't have to hold in my working memory, right, in order to do other things. It frees up my bandwidth. It frees up your bandwidth to do other things. Okay. So that has always been the trajectory of this human experience. Now, just because we know that we need to learn more about the brain doesn't mean we know how to learn about the brain. Okay, so there's so much to learn. There's so much to know. Think of neuroscience as a spectrum, right? So if I started in the clinical world, that's a whole different side of the spectrum of knowing neuroscience. But then there's this other side for personal and professional development. And so I had to relearn how to think through the lens of the brain in the personal and professional development world versus the clinical world. Okay. So that means I had to learn how to use the controls again. Okay. And so if you think about like a rowboat, most of us use our brains like a rowboat. Okay. A simple rowboat that, we just use the oar to go, move the water and go from one part of the body of water to the next, right? But once you understand how to really learn about how to amplify and activate and deactivate your brain, because you have someone to help to tell you where to look and help you to navigate it and give you the exercises in order to learn it at that level. Now you are operating at the level of a shuttle, a space shuttle, right? And those controls are much more complex than a rowboat, okay? But you need someone to help you to figure out how to use those controls of a shuttle, okay? And so if you are able to use the controls of a shuttle, a space shuttle, that means you're not imprisoned to just being on land. Right now, you can explore, you could go to higher heights within space and do all the things, right? So that's the analogy I wanted to make about understanding this brain at a level that will have you to soar in your industry, in your coaching, in your expertise, okay? The second shift that you need to learn how to, that you need to make in order to understand the brain is that actually that was the second shift. Have someone to help you to use the control. So shift number one is having the knowledge, the know-how, or knowing that the brain is the key to navigating this complex human experience, because we're not getting any simpler. Okay, and mind shift number two is you need someone to help you to learn how to learn the controls of the brain. Okay, so that you can soar in your industry and make those powerful long-term changes in the brain with your clients. Okay, the third mindset shift that you absolutely must make in order to really optimize this knowledge and be able to infuse it into your coaching and training is you have to know how the adult brain learns. So I started to talk about this on day one in the live, because I sound like a broken record because it is so important to understand that your 20-year-old brain is so much more different than your 38 plus brain. Okay, and they both served a purpose in their architecture. So our architecture of our adult brain is different. So that means that you have to understand how your brain learns in your 40s, 50s, 60s plus. Our brains are curated for our most powerful strengths, knowledge, interests, passions. Okay, all of those things we focused our learning on in our 20s, and then we honed in on them in our careers in our 30s, right? And so the brain started to prune itself into our strongest neural pathways, our strengths, our experiences, our wisdom, our ongoing professional development. All were curated for your journey of where you are right now. That's why it seems overwhelming when you're trying to go to another profession, or you're trying to start a business, is because you're learning all this new information and your brain is not set up to learn all the things like it used to. So we have half of the connections that we had when we were in our 20s, and that's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. That just means your brain is more intentional about what kinds of information it wants to take in. Your brain wants to take in information that's going to add value to your existing and strongest neural networks. Okay, so it's not that your brain doesn't want to learn, it resists learning, the learning process, if it can't assess or justify using mental energy to learn something from the ground up. So one of the trainings that before my students could get into a brain-based coaching training is they have to understand how their adult learning brain works, because that helps to amplify how they receive the knowledge, how they encode the knowledge. Okay, because an overwhelmed brain, a stressed out brain is not going to learn. So I take that from them. I decrease their amygdala, right? And make sure that they understand that their brains are like fine wine, curated for this part of their journey, and that's okay. So that's the third mindset shift, mastering the adult learning brain. The fourth mindset shift that you need to make in order to truly utilize this knowledge, learn this knowledge to amplify what you're doing is understand what neuroscience is doing for you. Neuroscience is here to amplify and help you to leverage your time and expertise. So it's not here to replace your knowledge or give you 50 billion new strategies. It's to take you deeper into those strategies you already know and help you to understand it at a level that amplifies your expertise when you're presenting the information and knowledge to your clients or your organization. Okay. And when you learn systematically and methodically from someone who's not just trying to give you a bunch of neuroscience facts, but actually infuses into the real world and uses real situations your clients or organizations are actually going through, it helps you to speed up the time that you actually learn this knowledge. Okay, so you could think of learning neuroscience as a catalyst. So you can not just learn neuroscience, learn it optimally. Okay. Learn it optimally in such a way that you're not by yourself. Okay. You're not reading the same complex, sentences over and over again, trying to figure out what you just read. Right. And so if you have someone who's been in this industry for 20 years and the last 10 years spent um, uh, learning um, the art of explaining this knowledge, because it's what I don't do the whole, this is your prefrontal cortex and your temporal lobe and your cerebellum. I mean, you do learn those things, but not in a way that's boring. I know that because I worked hard at not sounding boring. Okay. I actually have to find my personality and that fuse with my passion for neuroscience, but also make sure that when I'm training, it's not just for me to hear myself talk, right? It's for how can I explain this knowledge in such a way that someone can receive it, understand it, and then feel confident and competent about using the knowledge in their own world. Because there's no point in me just sounding like a talking head and giving all the kind of random, disjointed facts, and someone doesn't know how to put it to use, or they're not putting it into use in the correct way, or in an ethical way, or in a way has integrity. Okay, one of the trainings I do with my students as well is help them to navigate original neuroscience research. So that means I'm teaching them how to fish, right? I'm teaching them how to go to the original research and without getting overwhelmed and pulling out the data and the understanding how to summarize it and put it in their own words and fuse it into their writings, their books, their presentations in such a way that meets the needs of the people that they actually are training or coaching. Okay, so I'm empowering them so that they can empower others. Okay, so I don't always have to be at some point, I'm no longer, the go-to source for 90% of their learning, right? Because I've taught them how to fish. And some people think they know how to fish. And they think, oh, if I just read a couple of books, if I read a couple of neuroscience articles, or someone else's summary of an article, then I'm golden. I'm now an expert. That's not how that works. Expertise takes time. Expertise takes coaching. Expertise takes training. Expertise takes focus. Expertise takes feedback. So though that's what you get when you become my student. And then eventually we want you to become our colleagues, our co-trainers, our co-researchers. Okay, so we want this to be an ongoing professional relationship. It's not, hey, I learned from you and that's it, and I never talk to you again. No, I want to continue to see what you're doing in the world with this knowledge. I want you to come to the regular office hours and ask your questions or share your insights. This is a long-term relationship that I have with many of my students, and that is my vision for whenever someone comes on board and joins the program, the Optimind program. So shift number 5, mindset shift number 5, think of learning neuroscience from a seasoned person as your ability to leverage your time and expertise and amplify your expertise. Okay, literally as a catalyst. Some of you have taken biology, you probably learned about what a catalyst is, or even in the professional development world, you've heard of companies called catalysts and something, right? A catalyst is meant to decrease the amount of time and energy it takes to get to your goal. Okay, and so understanding neuroscience helps you to do that. But also when you understand it at the level that I train on, and my colleagues train on, you'll be able to get to your help your clients or people within your organizations get to their goals faster, because you are using powerful strategies and sharing the deeper why of why they work. Or maybe the interaction and engagement is different, because maybe if you coached the executive on how their behavior is affecting other people's brains or their tone, right? They're going to get a different outcome. You know, they're going to have that pause before they say something, because they're going to remember the deeper why of what is happening. If they say something in a certain way to someone, they can be more intentional of how they want someone's brain to react or respond. Okay, even if it's unconscious. So we can make the unconscious conscious for a lot of people when we understand what is happening at the level of the brain. So the fifth mindset shift, people, is to invest in a coach or a mentor. Okay, that's very important to do that. I feel like my screen went blank for a second. Yes. So my mindset shift number 5 is very important to have someone who can come and show you where to guide your attention, so you're not overwhelmed. Someone who gives you those experiential, those experiences that allows your adult brain to pull from your experiences and expertise and education. Take all that into consideration. That is what a good trainer does. That is what a good coaching trainer does, is allow you to bring your whole self to the program, right? And not just isolate your training to neuroscience. No, it has to be engaging. I want to know what your niche is. I want to know what kind of experiences you've had. I want to know what your challenges have been, what your client challenges have been, so that I can make it relevant. I can make the training relevant to you for your growth. So it's not a canned training. That's why it's going to be an ongoing lifetime experience, professional partnership eventually. So the student becomes the colleague in our program. Okay. And so we want you to be definitely a part of that experience as you are thinking about or going through these trainings, and you're getting more curious, and you are seeing the value of incorporating neuroscience into your work. Look, everybody, this is not for everyone. Everybody doesn't put the brain on the pedestal. Okay, not everybody thinks understanding the brain to amplify humanity is a priority right now. And that is, that's where people are in time and space. No judgment. Okay. But there are people who do feel like this is the next level of us. If we don't understand and get this understanding of the brain and managing it to help ourselves and people we influence navigate all that's happening in the world, then we're going to stay stuck and keep retrogressing into our primitive ways. We can already see that. We need a powerful intervention. Where does change happen? It doesn't happen outside of us. It happens inside of us here first, at the level of the brain. We need long-term changes, powerful changes in the brain. It's kind of hard to do if you don't understand the brain. If you can't talk at the level of the brain, if you can't explain the brain in a way that allows people to navigate change in their lives. That's the difference. And so it's not just about saying neuroscience. It's not just about, hey, I can say a few fancy words about the brain. That's not how that works. That's not how to be valuable in this world with this knowledge. So It's for people who are ready to go. It's for people who know through and through that this is what's been missing. This is the next level of our human evolution, is understanding this and how to use it powerfully. Okay, so here we go. That was your 5 shifts, right? I'll just, if you just came on or watching the replay, I'm just going to sum them up again. The 5 shifts, mindset shifts you need to make in order to really take on this knowledge of incorporating neuroscience into your coaching, is to understand that the brain is the key to navigating these continuously complex human experiences. Mindset number 2 is that you need someone to help you with the controls, how to control it, right? How to understand it so that you are soaring, into different spaces in your mind and helping your clients to do the same, helping your organizations do the same. Mindset shift number 3 is master your adult learning brain. If you are trying to learn at the level that you were able to learn in your 20s, when you could just learn all the things, cram in all the things, operate on 2 hours of sleep, yeah, that's not how our brain works now. Okay. And so most programs are not training on how the learning brain works. And part of the puzzle of understanding your adult learning brain, and when I say adults, I'm talking about 38 plus, okay? I know 20-year-olds are technically adults, but we also know, right? Some of you know the prefrontal cortex doesn't quite mature until 25-ish, right? So, but by the time we're about 40, our brains, the neural architecture of our brains have changed in a way that is curated for our strengths, our passions, our experiences, and our wisdom. Okay. And that's a great thing. Our brains are like fine wine. Okay. And so the brain wants to be very conservative about how it uses its mental energy. So since we have half of the connections that we did from our 20s and our teens, it does not want to utilize energy if it doesn't have to learn all these new things. So that is why it's so important as a trainer on my end to make sure that whatever I am training you on is relevant to your expertise, to your mission, to your why, for your clients. Okay, it's not a one size fits all program. Okay. I went off on my tangent there. That's normal. People will tell you if you meet some of the optimize students. That's what we call our students, optimizers. Kind of sounds like a superheroes. Optimizers. Number 4, the 4th shift that you need to make, the mindset shift to really absorb this information and be able to take it to the next level in your work, in your life, is to make sure that you understand that neuroscience, understanding and systematically, methodically learning neuroscience is a catalyst for your time and energy. So it's going to take you less time to learn from someone who understands how you learn and what is relevant to you. But also neuroscience is a catalyst as far as getting you to your goals faster, getting your clients to their goals faster. Because when you're able to navigate the brain and they have that deeper why, you have that deeper why, you have that belief that this strategy is actually going to work and change at the level of the brain. Okay, people are more likely to stay consistent for that strategy when they have that deeper why. So everybody wins. Win, 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 win. Okay. The 5th mindset shift that I talked about was to invest in a coach or mentor. That is understanding of all of these things. Okay. So you have to have an investment mindset. Okay. When we invest in the next level of our expertise, we are more connected to it. We are more disciplined. We're more all in. It becomes a priority, right? And so there has to be that psychological connection. And one way to do that. And yes, you might love the brain and all that, and you get all that what I was saying, but you also need to make the investment in the training, in a coach. And I'm talking about monetary, obviously, but I'm also talking about there's an investment in time. There's an investment in attention. I expect you to give the same amount of time and attention to me that I give to you. Okay. So investment means a lot of things when I'm saying it. Okay. It's not just one way of thinking. And that's what you'll learn too. Multiple perspectives of thinking through the lens of neuroscience. I call them neuro perspectives. Okay. So when I give you this replay and send you this replay, the link, and where it's going to be uploaded, then I'll put some extra trainings as well around the neuroscience of relationships, the neuroscience of spirituality. There's some other things I'll put in there as well. But in that email, you'll also see a link to book a call with me, so we could talk about, if if the program to be trained as a certified neurocoach or neuro leader is for you, or if a certificate in a specialization, because maybe you're a health coach and maybe you just want the neuro health certificate. Now, there is a difference between a certification and our certificates. Okay, they are not the same. So obviously one is specialized, right? If it's neural health, neural spirituality, neural relationships, you're just going to learn that path of neuroscience. Okay. But if you want to be fully certified as a neuro coach, neuro leader, and have the option of having all those specialties, you can do that as well. So there's two routes you can go further with me after this summit. But I need to get on the phone with you so that we can, brainstorm together to determine what's the best path for you. What's going to serve you the most? Where's your attention? Where's your focus? What are your needs to take you to the next level? What's your commitment? Those are the things that I kind of like to get a sense of before I steer you, or steer you in a certain direction, if at all. I mean, there has been some people I'm like, yeah, this program is probably not for you. And there that's very rare. But you have to come with openness to learn. And so when I get a sense that people don't have an openness to learn, then I can't be the teacher, right? So I mean, that's an old wise adage, right? It's like when the student is ready, the teacher will teach. So if I feel that, then it's not time to be on the journey together. Or maybe I'm not the right trainer. I mean, I'm open to that. Look, I'm open to whatever I'm supposed to be doing on this journey, which is to empower 1 billion minds. That is my mission for the Optimind Institute. Okay. And so I know I'm on my path, and I want you to be on your path. And if neuroscience is a part of that, I'm happy to connect with you and have that conversation. Deanna says, would love to know more info about your event. Okay, so this is the 3-day summit. Thank you for that, Deanna. A 3-day neuroscience coach summit. The event, I think what you mean is the program. So it's the Optimind Institute Neuro Coach and Neuro Leadership Certification Program. And then we have some other opportunities. Now, there's different ways that we can get people certified. So we can fast track. There's a self-study option, or you can just do the specializations, right? So once we get on the phone and I can also send over a brochure, the Optimind brochure, to you as well. You'll be able to see the breakdown of what we do and what path you can go. It has been over the years, the full curriculum has been accredited by the ICF. We're currently going through review. It's always a yearly review. So the whole program has been, has had the stamp of approval by our peers, which is very important, right? In this industry where it's not a lot of regulation in this industry, but some people like to know that as well. So if you are watching this live, or watching it on, I think you can watch it on demand as well. You have to register. So I have your email. So you will be getting another email from me, or you'll get your first email from me, and you'll have the links to all of the replays and the extra trainings that I put under the live, because this was a combination of live and pre-recorded knowledge, because I wanted to have that live piece without exhausting myself doing everything live. And I also wanted your feedback and comments and the topics you wanted to learn about. So that's what makes this summit different than other summits who have the 50 billion experts who are in these interviews and you never get a chance to watch them. Okay. I wanted this to be a symbiotic summit. That means I let you know some, I train you on some ideas of neuroscience comments in the extra trainings. So, for example, someone put under the comment he wanted to understand the neuroscience of decision making. So guess what made it in the trainings yesterday? The neuroscience of decision making. Okay, so the ball is in your court. You all are driving this summit. So wherever you are, wherever you're making comments, you can ask me questions, because I go in and I read the questions. You can ask about different topics, and I will respond. Okay, so you'll be receiving this live replay soon, and I look forward to speaking to some of you. Remember, I'm going to put the link to book a call with me in the email that's going to be sent to you. All right, everyone, I have enjoyed these 3 days, and I'm looking forward to continuing our journey together, so that we can change the world, empower 1 billion minds together, and help take this human experience to the next level of us. All right, remember, when you better your mind and better your brain, you can better your impact in the world and help others to do the same. Take care, everyone.